This week, we're going to build an oval table. I'm going to show you the steps we took, and maybe you can also build one. Starting off my project, we are going to use rustic oak. And we're going to start by cutting all our pieces to size. To size, I mean slightly bigger than your table than what you are originally planning for, because we're going to cut our table down to its final size later on. And as I mentioned, the specific wood species we're using is called rustic oak. Now there's so many different species of oaks on the market, but we like using rustic oak because it's got beautiful knots, which a lot of people sees as a reject. Starting off, I pre-packed my planks in the way I think the table is going to look best. Then I got one of my friends to cut me a card box in the shape of an oval. That's obviously going to be the shape of my table. And I'm going to place it on top of my wooden table that hasn't been glued up yet together. So the reason for this step is to make sure once we're going to drill our dominoes for our table, that when we're going to cut our table down to its final size, that we're not going to cut into a domino. Very important tip is always to mark your planks in the direction 1 to 10, or wherever how many planks you got. In this case, I think we got 6 or 7. And that's to make sure that the direction of your planks is always in line with the marks you're going to make where you're going to cut for your dominoes. And as you can see, I am more or less leaving around about 400mm to 500mm spacings in between all the dominoes I'm going to cut. Now, the reason for domino is obviously to hold your planks together, but the main reason is basically to keep your planks in line. The glue, however, is there to strengthen your table and to hold everything together. And I honestly do have to say, the domino machine from Festool is one of my favorite machines in my shop. And as you can see, there's absolutely no dust whatsoever when I was working this machine. Always take precautions in safety, gloves and eye protection. And if you really want to, you can put earplugs on. Moving to the next step in our project, and that's obviously to do all the glue ups. And because we're building a lot of these tables, not oval tables, but tables overall, I took the liberty in building myself a clamp table with pony clamps, and that's to make our job much easier going forward and doing all our projects. I took a massive steel frame and I welded on all my pony clamps. So the max table I can build for the clamp table I pre-built is, I think, 3.3 meters by about 1.4 meters high. So I can really build big tables with this clamp table. Always remember to spread a little bit of glue so that you have a very good bond between your planks. And we're not really shy in using glue, because once you're going to clamp your pieces together, all the glue is going to squeeze out. That's not going to be needed in your table. This is also a very satisfying part, to see that your work is really accurate and, as always, a perfect fit. So what we normally do in all our projects is to make sure our tables is actually flat. We got this very strong, very thick steel beam we clamp onto our table. We take a water level and actually make sure before the table is going to dry that it's actually level. This is a very critical step, because the pony clamps, sometimes when you clamp too tight, the table does bow a lot. And I hope this tip is going to help you guys in building straight tables. This is a very crucial part in your build. Now it's time for me to load my table on my van. Firstly, take it to our supplier that's got a very big drum sander to sand my table, basically to remove the glue and to make sure my table is 100% flat. Then I took my table to one of my other friends, which has got a very big CNC machine, and he basically put the oval table on his computer, put it on the system, and the CNC machine is literally doing all the work. How I originally wanted to do it for the video specifically is to got the same friend to cut me a MDF sheet that's going to be the size of my table, place it on top of my wooden table, and use my router. So my router bit is basically going to run onto the MDF sheet as a guide. But in our case, we are in December, which we have a lot of orders and I really haven't got time, and I asked my friend just to cut it for me. Moving to the next step, I obviously mentioned that we are using rustic oak. Now rustic oak, it's got a lot of knots, it's got a lot of character, it's got a lot of cracks, and I'm just busy cleaning my table because I'm going to fill those holes and voids with black epoxy. This is very critical because you don't want loose ends, bark, softwood, dust to be inside these cracks whatsoever. So I mixed a little bit of black epoxy because we are going with a dark stain at the end of this project. I taped all my voids and I filled all my voids with the black epoxy. I came afterwards with a gas flame gun to pop all the bubbles. So if you guys enjoy my content and you guys do want to learn more on how to build tables or any other exclusive furniture, you guys are more than welcome to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting the notification button so you don't miss out on any future content we're posting. Our main goal for the channel is to post a video every week consistently, and I do have to say we consistently posted each week a project, a very unique project, consistently for the last year. So we're going to try and keep that trend. And if you guys do want to learn more, we're obviously doing a lot of epoxy tables and trying to help everyone out there to build successful tables. Make sure you subscribe and hitting the notification button. So the next step in our project, once our epoxy was dried, we are going to start sanding with our Rotex machine. And I do want to point out quickly, using the Rotex machine without the Festool dust extraction system, see how much dust a normal orbital sander makes with no dust extraction. And this is one thing I honestly do have to say, working with the Festool system for the last 2 years, is that we have minimum dust in our shop. As you can see with the dust extractor, there's literally almost no dust whatsoever. When we sand, when we router, anything we do, it's a one system. You just plug it into all your tools and the dust is basically gone. So I got my same friend that was cutting the oval shaped table for us on his CNC machine to make me a bow tie jig. And there was this nasty crack underneath our table, which I thought to myself, let's rather close it with a bow tie than decline to call me in a few months saying his table is cracking. And we are thinking of making these jigs available for everyone. So if you guys are interested in one of these jigs, leave me a comment down below. If there's enough interest, we will obviously start manufacturing these jigs and sell it on our website. I am going to leave a link down in the description where we also have other products available, like obviously, our very popular epoxy online masterclass, where we're going into detail on how we build all our epoxy tables. We're making all our information available, showing you all the mistakes we previously made so you don't have to. So you can build your first epoxy table successfully. Now, just going to give you guys a quick rundown, which was a massive failure in this project. The client showed us a triangle shape wooden base that we tried to copy, and this was a massive failure. We ended up manufacturing the base out of steel, which gave us a more stable table at the end of the day. Now, I do have to say the picture the client showed me was a very thin wooden base, which we originally thought from the beginning to use very thicker and wider wood from the start to make sure we are not going to have a wobbly table. Now I'm just doing my glue ups, cutting my frame to size, doing more glue ups, and going through all this effort. Our table was still too wobbly. You'll see in the video to follow, but we can't obviously give the client a product like this. Just want to show you guys what I mean with wobbly. We really took liberty in installing additional supports. We installed V supports where my hand is now. We installed braces going through to the other side of the table. At the end of the day, the joint at the bottom where the one wooden leg is going down isn't stable enough. As you can see, this was a massive failure for us, a massive learning curve. The back was very strong, as you can see, but the front was too wobbly. So I contacted the client and I told her that we literally tried everything. We'd done additional supports and the concept just didn't work. So I convinced the client to do the same frame just with steel. And I do have to say, this took the wobbly away from our project, and we definitely learned a lot when it came to wooden and steel bases. Turning my table around, you'll see there's some slots at the bottom. Now these slots are basically C-channels we bought, and this is to keep the table stable at all times. For the future, if there's any wood movement, then we know for certain that our table is going to be stable. So this is how the underside is going to look. And we are just basically marking where we need to apply holes, where we need to fasten the base to our wooden table. Moving to the sanding part of this project, we are going to use Rubio Monocoat, and the reason why we mention that is because we can only sand to 180 grit. Sanding our table down, starting with 80 grit, going down all the way to 180 grit, using my Festool ETS5 finishing sander to make sure we got a very smooth surface on our table. Next tip I want to leave with you guys is we literally do this on all our projects. The last stage sanding, we're using the scorch pads from Festool, and that's to smoothen the table out on top, because sometimes in the wrong light you will see your swirl marks from your sander, and we experience this a lot on our epoxy tables. Starting off, we're going with a pre-color from Rubio Monocoat. This specific color is called Mystic Brown, and I do have to say that I absolutely love this color. And the way to apply it is that you need to come with your pre-color, your Mystic Brown, or whatever color you're going to use. You're going to see it's going to soak in the table very quickly. That's why you need to have a second person that's coming straight after you to wipe it, either with a cloth. In our method, we are using a very big sponge for this step, and that's just basically to make sure you don't have any overlapping lines on your table. Coming back the next day, we are using Rubio Monocoat Pure 2C oil to seal our table on top. This is a very easy application as well. You just get your applicator pad from Rubio Monocoat and you just apply the oil on your table. What I love about Rubio Monocoat is that you do have so many maintenance products they do have to offer, which you can always offer the client also afterwards, because that's the one question we always get is from the client: how do you do maintenance on your table? And Rubio is presenting and offering a lot of aftercare products to make sure your table is going a very long way, and you're going to give this to your grandchildren at the end of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's project. Before you go, make sure you subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys next week with another super cool video. Thanks guys. Cheers.